flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everyone to the Union Township Trustees reorganizational meeting, January 4th, 2021. I'd like to entertain a motion and a second to appoint a new chairperson for the board for 2021.
Make a motion to appoint John McGraw as chairman for the year 2021.
I'll second that.
Roll call. Mr. McGee?
Yes.
Mr. Loeb?
Yes.
Motion carries. I'd entertain a motion and a second for the vice chairperson for the Board of Trustees for 2021.
I'll make a motion to appoint trustee McGee vice chairman
Oh, okay.
for 2021.
Okay, I'll second that.
Okay, roll call. Mr. Loeb?
Yes.
Mr. McGraw?
Yes,
Mr. McGee?
Yes, thank you.
Motion carries.
thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, number two, we'll entertain a motion and a second to establish the meeting date and time for our meeting. That the regular meeting of the board be held during the calendar year 2021 on the second Thursday of each month at 7 p.m. until July 1st of 2021 due to the COVID-19 restrictions. Subject to the board meeting in special session as noticed by rule and as required by the ORC, or by posting the notice on the website, signs, or other social media and providing specific notice to news media requesting such notice, not less than 24 hours before the start of the special meeting, and any others requesting electronic notice as soon as reasonably possible or permissible. Beginning in July and subject to November and December, there will be only one meeting in November, on November 18th, 2021, due to the Thanksgiving holiday, and one meeting in December on December the 9th, 2021, due to the Christmas holiday, 2021. The regular meeting of the board will be held on the second and fourth Thursday of the months in July, August, September, and October at 7 p.m.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Roll call. Mr. McGraw?
Yes,
Mr. McGee?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Motion carries. Number three, this is the advance of tax resolution for 2021. Resolution 2021-01. Move that the board adopt resolution 2021-01 requesting an advance of taxes collected.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call. Mr. McGee?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Mr. McGraw?
yes,
Motion carries. Number four, permanent appropriations resolution. I'll entertain a motion in a second that the board adopt resolution 2021-02 in order to provide for current expenses and other expenditures of said board for the fiscal year 2021, appropriating the sums as submitted by the fiscal officer for the purposes designated by the Bureau of Inspection.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call. Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Mr. McGee?
Yes.
Mr. McGraw?
yes,
Motion carries. Number five, meeting room policy. I entertain a motion in a second that all rules and regulations as to meeting rooms remain in force as established in the Union Township Facilities Reservation Policy revised May the 12th of 2016, and any further addendums thereto, adopted by the Board of Trustees at the May 12th, 2016 regular meeting. All meeting rooms shall remain closed due to the COVID-19 restrictions until such a time as the board determines that it is appropriate and safe to reopen.
So moved.
second,
Roll call. Mr. McGee?
Yes.
Mr. McGraw?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Motion carries. Number 6, compensation of rural zoning commission and Board of Zoning Appeals. I'll entertain a motion in a second that the compensation for the zoning commission and Board of Appeals members be compensated $75 per meeting per resolution 2009-09, effective July 14, 2009.
So moved.
Second?
Roll call. Mr. McGee?
Yes.
Mr. McGraw?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Motion carries. Number 7, this is the law director compensation. Entertain a motion and a second that the compensation for the Union Township law director be $180 per hour, compensation for partners $150 an hour, and associates to be $130 per hour, effective January 1st, 2021.
These are the current fees, is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you. I'll make a motion.
Second.
Roll call. Mr. McGraw?
Yes.
Mr. McGee?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Motion carries. Number 8 has to do with the payment of bills. I'd entertain a motion and a second that the board, to be consistent with the existing accounting procedure, require that bills submitted for payment be delivered to the fiscal office for processing and payment no later than 3 p.m. of the Tuesday of each week for payment during the same week.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call. Mr. McGraw?
Yes.
Mr. McGee?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Motion carries. Number 9, cemetery fees. Entertain a motion and a second that all cemetery fees be as established in the revised Mount Moriah fee schedule that were in existence as of December 31st, 2020, and to further allow all full-time township employees in good standing to receive the same pricing benefits as township residents.
So moved.
I'll second.
Roll call. Mr. McGee?
Yes.
Mr. McGraw?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Motion carries. Number 10, 2021 Planning and Zoning Department fees. I'll entertain a motion and a second that the board adopt Resolution 2021-03, establishing a revised schedule of fees and charges for the administration and enforcement of the zoning resolution and the associated permitting process per the attached Exhibit A.
So moved, sir.
Second.
Roll call. Mr. McGee?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Mr. McGraw?
Yes.
Motion carries. Number 11 is transfers. I entertain a motion and a second to authorize the fiscal officer to make all necessary intra-fund transfers during the fiscal year 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call. Mr. McGraw?
Yes.
Mr. McGee?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Motion carries. Number 12, travel and meal expense reimbursement. I'd entertain a motion in a second to approve the attendance and reimbursement of all expenses related to seminars, conventions, conferences, and training exercises for the Board of Trustees and the fiscal officer, including but not limited to the Ohio Township Association annual and quarterly meetings, accreditation meetings, conferences, award ceremonies for the police, fire, service, zoning, fiscal, UTTV, or administrative divisions, and appointed zoning commission and Board of Zoning Appeals members, which seminars, conventions, conferences, and training exercises are related to the operation of the township, elected or appointed positions consistent with the Union Township Policy Manual.
I'll second. Make a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call. Mr. McGee?
Yes, sir.
Mr. McGraw?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Motion carries. I'll entertain a motion in a second that the maximum meal allowance for employees shall be an average of $85 per day of qualifying event unless otherwise authorized by the township administrator.
moved.
Second?
Roll call, Mr. McGee,
Yes, sir.
Mr. McGraw,
Yes.
Mr. Logue.
Yes.
Motion carries. Number 13 is mileage reimbursement. Entertain a motion in a second that the vehicle reimbursement for mileage be the maximum IRS allowance rate for the calendar year 2021, not to include township-owned vehicles driven by township employees.
So moved.
Second?
Roll call, Mr. McGraw,
Yes.
Mr. McGee,
Yes.
Mr. Logue.
Yes.
Motion carries. Number 14 is township inventory. I'd entertain a motion in a second to establish an inventory procedure to include only township-owned property with a fair market value greater than $1,000 and not to include titled or registered property.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, Mr. McGraw,
Yes.
Mr. Logue,
Yes.
and Mr. McGee.
Yes, sir.
Motion carries. Item 15, competitive bidding. I'll entertain a motion and a second that all bids be awarded to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder in accordance with the Ohio Revised Codes 9.312.
So moved.
Second?
Roll call, Mr. McGee,
Yes.
Mr. McGraw,
Yes.
Mr. Logue.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 16 is contract approvals. Entertain a motion and a second to authorize the township administrator to execute contracts and represent the Board of Trustees as directed by the board.
So moved.
Second?
Roll call, Mr. McGraw,
Yes.
Mr. McGee,
Yes. Sorry.
Mr. Logue.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Miles away.
Item 17, purchase orders and contract approvals for amounts of $10,000 or less. I'll entertain a motion and a second to authorize the township administrator to expend funds and to authorize the township administrator to execute contracts and represent the Board of Trustees for services included but not limited to meals and incidentals not to exceed $10,000 per incident unless otherwise authorized by a purchase order.
So moved.
Second?
Roll call. Mr. McGee,
Yes, sir.
Mr. McGraw,
Yes.
Mr. Logue.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 18, appointment to the Zoning Commission and Board of Zoning Appeals. I'd entertain a motion and a second to appoint Mr. Eric Lewis to the Union Township Zoning Commission for the term expiring on December 31st, 2025.
So moved.
Second?
Roll call, Mr. Logue,
Yes.
Mr. McGraw,
Yes.
Mr. McGee.
Yes, sir.
Motion carries. I'll entertain a motion and a second to appoint Mr. Rob Wing as an alternate to the Union Township Zoning Commission for calendar year 2021.
So moved.
Second?
Roll call, Mr. McGee,
Yes, sir.
Mr. McGraw,
Yes.
Mr. Logue.
Yes.
Motion carries. Entertain a motion and a second to appoint Mr. Randy Walker to the Union Township Board of Zoning Appeals for the term expiring December 31st, 2025.
So moved.
Second?
Roll call, Mr. Logue,
Yes.
Mr. McGee,
Yes, sir.
Mr. McGraw.
Yes.
Motion carries. And we have one left. We need an alternate to the Union Township Board of Zoning Appeals for calendar year 2021. At this time, I don't have a name.
I don't have a name either,
I have none.
so,
I don't have a name either.
so that's something we'll have to leave open at this time.
So we can leave
come
it
back
open
to.
and then we can,
I believe is that the position that carried over from last year as well, not having a name for. Memory
I'm
serves
sure we
me
can round
correct.
somebody up.
I know Mr. Wing said he could be made available if needed, but
He's already,
he's not talked, yeah, I think that was the issue last year, so.
yeah, he's already in a position,
Yeah.
so I'm sure we can find
Okay,
someone.
so we'll just carry that over.
Okay.
Okay, so item 19, appointment of part-time and co-op student personnel. But entertain a motion and a second to authorize the township administrator to hire various part-time co-op students on a continuing, as-needed basis at an hourly rate not to exceed $11 per hour in order to fill internship positions within Union Township for various departments.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call. Mr. McGraw?
Yes.
Mr. McGee?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Motion carries. Number 20, Union Township Summer Help Compensation. Entertain a motion in a second to establish that for calendar year 2021, the salary for all summer help employees shall be established at a rate of $11 per hour for employees 18 years of age or greater, and $10 per hour for employees under 18 years of age, with an automatic adjustment increase to $11 per hour to occur at the next full pay period after an employee reaches 18 years of age.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, Mr. McGee,
Yes, sir.
Mr. McGraw,
Yes.
Mr. Logue.
Yes.
Motion carries. Number 21, approval purchase order submitted. So at this time, Mr. Geis, would you like to read the purchase orders that we need to approve tonight?
The first purchase order is to Schroeder, Monroe, Barbier, and Powers. It's for the law director fees for 2021 at $50,000. The next is to Highland Group Incorporated. It's for our 2021 to 22 liability, property casualty insurance at $188,000. The next is to Baston and Company. It's for our 2020 audit services at $13,000. The fourth is to the United States Postal Service for retail stamps at $50,000. The next is to the Clermont County TID. It's for the Hamilton Safe project, and it involves a water and sewer line improvement, as well as a contingency on that, and that's $1,295,000. The next is to Finley Fire Equipment Company for annual inspections of the chassis of the fire vehicles at $13,500. ESO Solutions Incorporated for the fire department, an annual contract at $16,200. The next is to Bachman's Incorporated for the Civic Center HVAC maintenance agreement at $23,388. The next is to the Clermont County Treasurer for the stormwater MS4 permit at $15,500. And the last is to Bachman's Incorporated for the HVAC maintenance agreement at Eastgate Professional Office Park at $18,168.
Okay, at this time, I'd accept a motion and a second to approve the purchase orders as presented by Mr. Ken Geis, our Township Administrator.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, Mr. McGee,
Yes, sir.
Mr. McGraw,
Yes.
Mr. Logue.
Yes.
Motion carries. Number 22 is the 2021-2022 property casualty liability insurance. Entertain a motion and a second to authorize the township administrator to enter into a contract with the Ohio Plan and Highland Group relative to 2021 through 2022 property casualty and liability insurance.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call. Mr. McGee,
Yes, sir.
Mr. McGraw,
Yes.
Mr. Logue.
Yes.
Motion carries. Number 23 is trustee compensation. I entertain a motion and a second to establish that the annual compensation of the township trustees shall be fixed at $22,676 for Mr. McGraw and Mr. McGee, and $23,886 for Mr. Logue, as provided in section 505.24 inclusive of the Ohio Revised Code, and that said compensation shall be paid in equal payments. And this is due to the cost of living increase for the newly elected.
Okay.
So, Mr. Logue's eligible for this one this year, and then I'll be eligible for one in, May, because my term starts May 1st instead of January 1st.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
So moved, sir.
I'll second.
Roll call. Mr. McGee,
Yes, sir.
Mr. McGraw,
Yes.
and Mr. Logue.
Yes.
Motion carries. Number 24, fiscal officer compensation. I'll entertain a motion and a second to establish that the annual compensation of the township fiscal officer shall be fixed at $32,724 as provided in section 507.09 inclusive of the Ohio Revised Code, effective commencing on 4/1/2021, and that said compensation shall be paid in equal amounts.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call. Mr. McGraw,
Yes.
Mr. Logue,
Yes.
and Mr. McGee.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Mr. Campbell,
Yes, sir.
would there be a separate vote come May for this, or is this already included?
No, this authorizes that, so I'm still on the last year's schedule up until May the 1st.
Got it.
Listen, my term is different than everyone else's.
Right.
Mine starts on April 1st.
Okay.
Okay. Number 25, meeting decorum. Entertain a motion and a second to permit the township meeting decorum to follow Robert's Rules of Order.
So moved.
Second?
Roll call. Mr. McGee,
Yes.
Mr. McGraw,
Yes.
Mr. Logue.
Yes.
Motion carried. Is there anything else to come before this body before we adjourn our meeting?
I have nothing.
I have nothing.
So at this time, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the 2021 reorganizational meeting.
So moved.
Second.
We are adjourned at 7:22 PM. Thank you very much.
Do you want to vote on that?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Mr. Logue? Or Mr. McGee, Mr. Logue?
Mr. McGee,
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
Logue,
Yes.
and Mr. McGraw.
Yes.
And now we're adjourned at 7:22 PM. Thank you.
There's a good chance Bob might have voted no on that.
He wants to stay all night.